Supergirl's a lesbian.
Boo, 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 Here's Johnny. Well, hello there, social media family. Being of some such person among yourselves, and being of whom are from my followers, as in subscribers, to even so visitors who are affiliated, associated with, or representing, well, at least technically, the latter, if not as much as officially as the former, when it comes to my own particular YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat room conversation. How are you all doing? And for that matter, how are any of your loved ones, being some such person among themselves otherwise? And like say, from your relatives, as in a.k.a. family members, to friends likewise who are affiliated, associated with, representing your many different immediate personal households. Hopefully all is well that ends well with you and yours and me and mine, for that matter, and in that same similar soul line of thought, in no sense of the word. And moving right along. Hold that thought. I got a call coming in. Yeah, what's up, Mike?
It says that for a brain hemorrhage, you might think that you could even this could never happen to you. However, the Bible states, "Whereas you know not what
You talking about your building manager? So, did they finally get that resolved of an issue?
Your excellent health, even if you're not, you can be killed in an auto accident. I would just today it just came across a woman in a wheelchair who was pretty well scarred up, and they claimed that she was temporarily dead for a while before they revived her. Anyhow, do you remember the shock you felt the last time you heard someone you knew?
All right. So did they reschedule you for that? Did they reschedule you for that to take care of that business in your own unit's atmosphere president? Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me get back with you. And all right. Sounds good. Okay, I'll get back with you because I was trying to call tonight. I appreciate you calling though. Okay. Okay. Take care and be safe and God bless. Bye bye. Get back with you. All right. Bye bye. I'm sorry about that, my social media family, but I had to take that call. I mean, I don't like to, answer or respond or reply to any telephone calls when I'm doing a social media broadcast, unless it is about some real business. Well, hopefully not anything that could, take place and supposed to happen, be it were to be scheduled per appointment, that someone says give them on time, or to be rescheduled for a much later date and time for business matters, for my own personal survival. That at nighttime, even so, when I'm calling in the night, otherwise, would it take place during, the daylight hours? I could possibly have to conclude a broadcast and just, do a remake of something. So I'm sorry about that, or ask question of a person, could I return their call later, being because I'm kind of busy at the moment, But anyway, how are you all doing? My social media. Oh, thank you for that, users. Yeah, but anyway, though, yeah. How are you all doing, my social media family? And or likewise, that is my social media family being my official social media family. Some such members of my YouTube social media channel, and are likewise, so to speak, or even so, visitors to some such. Hopefully, all's well that ends well with your persons. Anyway, though, I'm sorry about that. being of a disruption, interruption to the broadcast that was supposed to have been my flesh and blood brother that called me, just as long as it was not disruption or interruption coming from any of these proverbial neighbors from damn hell or public problem neighbors being my present ones and one of the preferred incendiary neighborhood communities, if you know what I mean, read between lines, fill in the blanks, as in one of the much more poverty stricken and crime ridden incendiary neighborhood communities, being a licensed crime within some such city limits for our own great metropolis, being as it is for the city of metropolitan Chicago, Illinois, USA, for the Midwest, and with all the surrounding suburbs. And just as long as it wasn't any, you know, just as long as any proverbial neighbors from damn hell will remember to stay outside my apartment door, and we won't have any problems. Because from there, I would have to resort to that some such self-defense and or likewise exercise my trigger happy 911 telephone call dialing finger to alert the local police authorities that there is trouble in paradise. And moving right along and getting back to the original subject matter, not that I was way wagging the dog is what I meant to say. Prince Peace continue very with my compare that Prince about to confuse my speech, and as I backtrack here with reason for being on try to go on to continue for when with my person at last left also I can finish up as a complete up previous prayer line talk and the same with Sumo Soul since the word. Okay. And before I lose my train of thought. But anyway, though, yes, how are you all doing, my social media family? And for that matter, how are any of your loved ones being some such person among themselves? And like say, from relatives as in a.k.a. family members to friends likewise who are affiliated, associated, and are representing your many different immediate personal households. Hopefully all's well that ends well with you and yours, and likewise with me and mine. And move right along. And whereas tonight, or the present social media broadcast, being as it is, a some of such video content material, and like I said, ignore or disregard or whatever I have said or stated for the record. Any disruptions or interruptions, just ignore any interruptions to the present broadcast, as I do not have any control over what goes on outside my apartment, just as long as the demon possess gay like, creepy, cowardly, stupid, and sick neighbors from damn hell, criminal riffraff characters, remember to stay outside my apartment door, because I do believe in exercising my rights and privileges to self-defense, as well as dialing the emergency number of 911 for police assistance. Getting back to what I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted. And whereas tonight's, or the present social media broadcast, being as it is, and some such video content material, is about how I had encountered this one non-white male, being of the same, the said in question, and or aforementioned, that's it, aforementioned. There's no, being of the same with the said in question, I have not as yet. Well, I mentioned him in the name title, in which compliments present social media broadcast video content material. That much I do know from this particular post. And as it is about him, then this non-white male individual person of a character like, street punks or hoodlum or hoodlum thugs of a possible and potential gangbanger, was I encountered him today, after having, encountered his presence something like, what was it, days, weeks, or months earlier, upon premises and properties for mass transit of a public transportation system with all of its many different bus and or train routes, and like say, for a train car, whereas I was a patronizing passenger that had become part of ridership after I paid my fare as a customer for the said in question aforementioned. And here it is, was this white boy who was sleeping. He was knocked out. He had this pet dog, being of a canine of the animal species, and whereas as one given moment in time or another, I was trying to think to offer this dog a treat, you know. And before you know it, the dog kind of like went into killer mode. Seriously, though. Killer mode. The dog rose and looked like it was about to lurch, jump out, and get to sinking its fangs into me, and they'll tear me from limb to limb. And I kind of froze and I didn't know what to do. But then I remembered that I had a snack in my bag. And I slowly but surely, I was talking to the dog as calmly as possible. Calm down, boy. I'm not the enemy. I'm not trying to harm you as well as your master. I'm just trying to get for you a snack. The black brother, no brother of mine, if you remind me of any one of these black brothers and Hispanic brothers, for that matter, of neighbors from damn hell, criminal riffraff captives. But then the black brother, he got the mouthing off, talking about, you should leave that dog alone. You should quit messing with the dog. And I'm like thinking, listen to the dog. He was wishing that I would feed into that nonsense in his. He was to provoke the situation. He was wishing that I could possibly get excited. I don't know, for whatever reason or purposes, for him to have gone about saying that in order to provoke a situation. Maybe he was bored to death at that given moment in time, or bored with his loser lifestyle, or whatever the case of the situation. Yeah, he was wishing that I would feed into that so that the dog, get all excited and raise my voice so that from there, the dog would just jump upon me and tear me up and gnaw a big chunk of my human flesh out of my physical body. But although I was kind of like panicking as a saved believer in God, so how much more so it would have freaked me out, had me on edge if I was still an unsaved unbeliever or unbeliever when that had happened, or that incident. So I just tried to talk as calmly as possible, not raise my voice, and talk to the dog, and like as if the dog is my own pet, Try to talk to the dog like I'm talking to a little child, throwing a temper tantrum, having the terrible twos, or trying to, that is trying to talk a baby out of an infant out of crying, Then slow but sure, I reached into my bag, pulled out the snack, and threw it in the direction of the dog, and it kind of ricocheted, made a trajectory, and gave me that much leverage to, from there, exit that train car. As someone says, give them time. Whereas I went to the left of the dog, not to the right of the dog. No, I'm sorry, my bad. I went to the right of the dog is what I meant to say. Prince of Peace, continue to regulate my mind, put out a Prince of Darkness, attempt to confuse my speech, and regardless of any disruption, interruptions coming from certain neighbors being alike, my present public nuisance problem neighbors, as they themselves would be much more commonly called and are commonly known as being the likes of the proverbial neighbors from damn hell, criminal riffraff characters, but, and other rank and file, the usual suspects in public, number ones, the social reject. Then getting back to some such other, as a backtrack here, reading on purpose being on, so I can go on following to continue for when my person had last left off, so I can finish up as complete a former previous prayer line. So what I meant to say, correction, I had went to the right of the dog, not to the left of the dog, being that because I would have had to go through the aisle of the train to exit it, and all the while I would be on the right of this one foul and funky acting black brother. As far as I know, he could have had it in mind to attempt to push me in the direction of the dog, and then from there, fulfill his wishes to have the dog bite me. So I went to the right of the dog and exit the train car. But then, unfortunately, this one black sister was getting on it that's entering the train car and exiting it. She was getting on as I'm getting off. She was entering the train car as I'm exiting it, being the same with the said in question and aforementioned. And whereas compared to how a dog would be, that is, the dog would be on the right of me, and I would be on the dog would be on the right of me, and I would be on the right of the dog. She herself, on the other hand, as I'm exiting, she herself, on the other hand, as she entering the train car, whereas her left would be on the right of the dog, and with the way the dog was like getting all riled up, and I'm thinking, hopefully she is all right, or will be all right. Hopefully she is all right. Hopefully the dog didn't bite her. But then, nevertheless, I would not know, because I had since gotten off that train car and got on the train platform to get on elsewhere. And I was thankful. I was like, thank God for small miracles, so to speak. So I just felt that had been placed on my heart, mind, soul, and spirit to share with you all. As this had happened most recently, I can't recall or recollect or remember correctly or whatever I said. I think it was either for, what was that? Either for the last of May or mid-June. Maybe it was early June. Either last of May or early June or mid-June, something like that. But then only for me to encounter the same black brother. No, I can remember exactly when that incident happened, but only to encounter the same black brother like days, weeks, or months later. I'm pretty sure it was him. I was not so much as sure as I could be, but he kind of favored this one black guy, fellow dude, and I think it could have possibly been whoever this black male. I mean, I don't know him personally. I had never seen him before. I don't know him. Tom, Dick, and Harry, who shot John. But he kind of favored that same black guy, fellow dude that had attempted to. So it could have possibly been him, for that matter. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but he sure kind of looked like that same black guy, fellow dude that had attempted to get bitten by a dog on a train for a mass transit of a transportation system with all of his many different bus and train routes. So I felt that I had to share that with you all. And on this last note of interest, as you all know, I would try to share the gospel message of salvation with your person. Pretty much so for coming to the closing of a broadcast or whatever I said, by saying more words or less. If you have not gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, profess faith in Him right now while you still can, but tomorrow is not promised to anybody. And people in damn hell one ice squad. Rod is the way that leads to destruction. Nail is the way that leads to life. And through the be that find it. You all take care and be safe. And I guess it's a wrap. And we are out. Peace.